Okay, well, you can't quite make it out in the dark, but we've just had the welcoming committee arrive at camp. So I don't want Lassie dispersing and there's, you can see eyes all the way around. Even the light doesn't quite shine on them, but they go literally from over there all the way around here. So we're circled about 180 degrees here. Okay, well, obviously we're on Dartmoor and we're going to pitch the Supermid in the dark. It's not too dark, there's enough light. There's just enough light for pitching, especially with a torch. Testing. Okay, well, it's the end of the first day and we obviously haven't moved. We haven't done an awful lot. I did a couple of watch videos. It's not that I'm ignoring my outdoor people. I've got a lot of videos for you in the back catalogue still to do. Weather here on Dartmoor at the moment is pretty nippy. The temperature is 8.7 with a wind chill of about 6, although it feels a hell of a lot colder than that, and a wind speed of about 7, 8, gusting up to about 12 miles per hour. So it's not particularly, you know, it's not a gale force or anything like that, but it has been quite blustery. The wind chill is now showing about 5. For about 5 degrees. It's quite chilly. It's late afternoon. The time is just gone 4, and it really is not. It is really not very nice down here at all. It really does not feel 8 degrees. It feels a heck of a lot colder than that. I have brought the Supermid with me on this trip. I couldn't show pitching it for the simple reason I was here late after dark and we had a whole herd of cows around. I have pitched it quite low to the ground, as you can see. That's actually touching the ground there, and very, very low to the ground on these edges here. I've kind of deliberately pitched all of the sections that are into the wind quite low. And then the front, as I usually end up doing, I've pitched just a little bit higher, so that gives you know, good airflow but protection from the wind on 4 corners, or certainly, you know, 3.5 really, because it starts to raise up just there on that edge, and of course it just starts to raise up on that edge a little there, but not too much. It's just the front where it's very high, and that's protected because it's downwind. And I don't worry about the downwind section. I'm just going to go for a very short walk with Lassie, just literally just a 5-minute walk, just to stretch her legs so we don't get cold. I don't particularly fancy staying out in this too much, but we'll just stretch her legs. We haven't moved, as I say. We've stayed inside, just chilling out and relaxing on the whole. And inside, whilst I knew that it was on the blustery side, to be honest, I had no idea that it was quite as chilly out here. It's quite surprising. Clearly I was able to get the sides low enough that it was blocking virtually all the wind out. And even though I don't have a bivvy or an inner, as I've mentioned many times before, it's simply not really needed, even with a tent or a shelter without an inner, as long as you're protected from the elements. As long as you're protected from the elements. Come on then it's really not needed. Good girl, come on then. We have reached dusk. The time now is 4:25, so the sun set about 10 minutes ago. Sunset was 4:15, so the sun set 10 minutes ago. So we have about half an hour of dusk. We're here for our usual 3 nights this time, just chilling out and relaxing and just doing whatever catches my thoughts, really. If this is the last one of the year, then obviously I would just wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I will have to think about waterproofs next year, because obviously my Neo shell failed and needs treating, and probably is not a great idea for the winter if it's going to fail. I've got my Paramo, which needs treating, and I still haven't treated that yet. And then this old jacket that I've got on here is an old Arc'teryx jacket. It's an XCR. I'm afraid Arc'teryx doesn't necessarily last a lifetime, unfortunately. You'd think and hope that when something's glued, it would, the glue would last, but unfortunately the glue on it is failing in a few places. So realistically, the whole jacket probably will fail at some point just from the glue alone, which is a shame, because it's actually quite a nice jacket. It's got good pockets here, it's got a pocket here you can just put something in, and it's got 2 pockets that are big enough to, well, just about big enough for a map, but that you can certainly get your hand in, as I can there, which is quite handy. Okay, well, I'm gonna just head straight back to camp, because the weather is turning in. It's getting quite misty. It really is quite unpleasant weather to be out walking, that is. But if you're relaxing in your tent, then you're probably doing quite well. Your tent might blow a little bit, but as long as you've got everything that you need, you're fine stuck in your tent. It's not a problem at all. As long as you're warm and dry. I brought extra clothing with me. Well, not extra, but my usual, same actually. The only extra thing I put in, and it was more because I packed my, stupidly, I packed my t-shirt and my mid layer in the pack, and when it came to packing or putting my clothes on, just earlier, well, yesterday to come, that's come here, by the way. Then my mind doesn't get any better, does it? Then I couldn't be bothered to go faffing around in the bottom of the pack after I'd packed it. So I just grabbed another t-shirt and wore my fleece. Whereas I might have been tempted, so I put on another t-shirt. So I've got 2 t-shirts with me, but that's more laziness than anything else. And I was very, very warm last night. I don't think the temperature went down particularly cold. I brought my -5 bag with me because I thought it better, given that we are now late November. Plus we have had some pretty darn cold weather recently. I had snow down here a few days ago, so I wasn't going to risk bringing my +4 bag, even though the temperature is probably only 5 or 6. When you get to colder temperatures, definitely much better to bring a bag that is, you know, somewhat colder rated than the forecast is. And I probably would have been fine even if it had snowed, because it would probably only have gone down to 0 or -1, and my -5 bag will be okay at those temperatures with clothing as well. As it was last night, I literally wore my t-shirt, and that's quite unheard of for me. So it shows that bag and the super tarp pitched to the ground was enough to keep me in it very cozy. So plenty of redundancy there. If the forecast had been -5 with a hard frost, then I probably, almost certainly, would have brought my -20 bag, because when it starts to get very, very cold, then my -5 bag is not enough. But I must admit, I've not needed my very, very cold bag for a few years down here now. Okay, well, we've come back to camp. There was a very little short stretch of the legs. Obviously, Lassie is still got a ton of energy left in her for a dozen more walks. Let's just go down to the water. I have already previously filled up the water pouches, so we've already got the water, but we'll just take Lassie down to the water just briefly. It won't matter if she gets wet now because I've got a towel so I can dry her off if necessary, although realistically she'll stay outside anyway. She came inside last night for a bit, and then this morning she was inside, but she spent most of the day outside, and it's been kind of raining on and off. It hasn't been that heavy rain. It's been more of a misty on and off rain, to be honest. We're back down here. Go on then, Lassie, have a little splash before the last of the light goes. Go on then. Maybe over here where it's a bit more shallow. Come on then, over here. Let's put it on you. Go on then. Go and have a splash. Go on then. Go on then. Silly dog. You see, when I'm not around, she's just straight in that water when we're near the water. Often we're camped up here, but because I've got the Supermid, go on then. But because we've got the Supermid, I need a bit more space. That's why I'm camped at my other usual. Go on then, have a swim. It's really starting to get quite dark now. Come on, Lassie, over here, quickly. You see, it's... Go on then, go down that way. Go on then, down that way, quickly. Go on then, go on in there. Go on then. Go and put your feet in at least. Go on then, put your feet in. Go on then. There, that's mine. Go on then, have a swim. Go on then, you know you want to. I mean, nobody else would want to in that pretty cold water, but we know you want to. Go on then. Oh, oh God. Completely mad. Hang on, we've lost. Whoops. Nearly lost me then. Oof, bloody hell. Yep, upsy daisy. I tried to cross that stuff there. Not the wisest of things. There. There's a late night, well, late afternoon splash around in the twilight for John and anyone and everyone else who likes Lassie. All right, that's enough of that. We're gonna head back to camp now. It's getting on the dark side now. You won't see anything soon. The GoPro doesn't pick up anything once it's dark. Good girl. Good girl. Come on then. Go on then. Go on then. Lead the way. Lead the way, Macduff. Whoever he was. Where did that expression come from? Lead the way, Macduff. Okay. Well, like I said, when I get back to camp, I've done the water already. I've checked all the pegs. Again, a couple of them needed a little tighten off. But on the whole, it was pretty solid anyway. My mighty erection of the Supermid hadn't really flopped much in the last few hours. So, oh, you feel that wind is picking up a bit now. So, of course, the temperature is messed up now because of it was in my pocket. But the wind speed is 10, 15, 17. And of course Lassie is thinking that this is all fun and games as well. Temperature dropping down to 9. It will get lower than that, of course, because it was in my pocket. Okay, that's enough of that. That's enough of fun and games. Let's all I did to come out literally was put my jacket over the top of my fleece, which I was wearing in the night, and obviously I took my trousers off, you know, the trousers which were in the Supermid, took them off. Nighttime trousers, that is, I'm talking about. Oh, it's really quite cozy inside. It's the actress at the bishop again. The actress and the bishop is very busy. I'm not going to worry too much about Lassie because she can get in anyway. Just do those poppers up. Really should do your poppers up first. Do what I say, not what I do. But sometimes it's just easier to do it that way. Okay. And that's quite a difference. It's warm in here. There's almost no wind, very little anyway. Well, it's a little bit of a blustery evening here today. We've pretty much settled down for the night. It's 11:05. I did fall asleep earlier for a short while, but it's been very, very blustery. Now, we did get, unfortunately, a little bit of water ingress, which can happen, as I've noticed recently. So you kind of have to be prepared. You kind of have to be prepared, you know, to accept that when the weather is, you know, very, 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 very rough, you might get some water getting in. So what I've done is I've just put the rucksack along the end there just to protect that. And I was noticing that water was starting to splash in here from the hem down there. So what I've done is I've set this line up here, which comes up to here, and then obviously is just held in there. And that has just raised the ground sheet up here, just ever so slightly, or more than ever so slightly really, just so that if any splashing happens down there, to give it a fighting chance to not come up this far. And on the whole, that has been relatively successful. I do have a small leak in the apex, which I must admit I will need to address when I get home. I think unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way it is, obviously a lot of my camps, you know, are in, you know, pretty good weather. Although I've been out in plenty of bad weather too. But of course, when you're using a tarp, you're in, you don't have apexes and things like that. And I've just noticed that the apex of this, and of course the apex of the trail star, which I must remember to do, needs some sealant applied to them, because water does unfortunately seem to be bypassing the apex. And as I say, of course, what's happening is it's coming down here, and of course I've had to set this up to help my ground sheet. It's then dripping off this and down onto the sleeping bag. Now, of course, the sleeping bag, I've just put my jacket over the top. So on the face of it, you're going to be thinking, oh no, it's a disaster, you should abandon camp and everything like that. You know, we are camping, we are in the wilds, we are, you know, going as lightweight and as comfortably as we possibly can. And sometimes you have to sacrifice one thing to gain something else. Yes, I could bring a heavier tent and be all sealed up inside in like a little coffin thing, or I can have acres of room. Okay, now obviously, you know, your acres of room, you know, does mean that, you know, you might get some damp patches here and there. So, you know, you do have to be aware of that it is possible. But I'll take a couple of damp patches and space any day of the week over being, you know, cocooned in a tiny tent. And frankly, you know, even a good sized tent, well, then you've got to carry that extra weight. You know, if you've got a scarp 1 or a scarp 2, you're looking at, you know, upwards of 1.5 to 2 kilograms. And yes, you have, you know, a reasonable amount of space in them, but nothing like the amount of space that I've got in here. And I've just got oodles of space there for Lassie to, you know, to lie down there. She can lie there, or that's got a bit damp over there. But she's got a mat here. I brought another mat on this trip because I knew it would be a little bit colder. So I've brought an extra mat with me on this trip. There does appear to have been so much rain that we are starting to get flooding patches appearing. I do actually remember that a year ago, or a couple of years ago, when I came to this area, this area was flooded when I camped here, but that was after several days of rain, and I think we're some way from that. The forecast is reasonable after about 3 o'clock in the morning, and tomorrow is relatively dry. So, you know, really you've just got to take the rough with the smooth, to be honest, when you're out wild camping. I mean, it is called wild camping. We're not calling it happy family camping, you know, in your home, in your brick home or anything. You know, it is wild camping after all. So, like I said, you just have to remember that if there is water getting in one place or another, there's usually something in your arsenal, not your arsenal, in your arsenal that you can put somewhere or other and move something around or other, or drape something somewhere or other without having to, you know, worry about anything. Anyway, I'm going to make another tea. It's gone 11. I had fallen asleep earlier, then I woke up. But I'm gonna probably at this rate go back to sleep relatively soon. Okay, well, I just wanted to show you it's not all you know, roses and daffodils out here. We do get some bad weather, and like I said, just be prepared to deal with it. It's fine. Embrace the outdoors. Know your limitations and go with your limitations. And obviously, if you've got a tent, then you'll be fine. All right. I'll see you tomorrow.